Are you worried that the global supply chains will never be the same again? Businesses and economists predicted a different outcome than the one we are currently in. Consumers have purchased goods like there is no tomorrow, and now supply chains are choking on that record demand. Most people have had an experience recently of not being able to get a product on time or having to pay more for a product. In today's video, we are going to dive deeper and show you the full picture. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, most of us simply assumed that we could continue to accomplish things faster and faster. E-commerce sites like Amazon made it appear as if anything you needed was right outside our doorstep. However, this obscured the thousands of miles these products had to travel to get to where they needed to be around the world. It took months, and that doesn't include all of the automation, algorithms, and hundreds of people who had to touch or transport those goods in some way. It's one of the most complicated endeavors that humans have ever undertaken, and yet it occurs millions of times per day, and we take it for granted because everything has been rolled out seamlessly. The ultimate convenience of one-click e-commerce shopping is hidden behind so much process. Consumer electronics, such as USB chargers, appear to be readily available. USB chargers are an intriguing product that we can get the same day. The key point is that those chargers don't sell for a lot of money. As a result, you must keep labor costs low and concentrate on efficiency. The shipping container, an ocean-going shipping invention, made it feasible to relocate manufacturing to areas with the lowest labor costs. In addition, global supply chains have brought us a cornucopia of products that we would not otherwise be able to have as much variety or as attractive prices that we see when we buy a product off the shelf or online. By the time we get a product, it's the tail end of a journey that could have started a year ago in a factory halfway around the world. Places like Vietnam have been appealing due to their relatively low-cost labor. Take the example of a simple USB charger. It's assembled in a factory in Vietnam and then placed on a shipping container that travels on a barge to an ocean-facing port. It is then loaded onto a ship for a journey across the Pacific Ocean. The journey across the Pacific Ocean can take anywhere between 20 and 30 days. Working on a ship can be compared to living in an office that you can never leave. It's high stakes, but it's also often mundane and boring because sailors are confined to these ships, and it's nearly impossible for outsiders to get on and off the ships. Most of us are unaware of this aspect of the supply chain. Each of these container ships can carry up to 10,000 containers, but have as few as 20 crew members. As a result, each sailor is under enormous pressure to do their job because the consequences of failure would be catastrophic for supply chains. The last thing we want is containers to end up in the sea. There are risks such as bad weather, the ship's overall condition, and suspicious activities such as stowaways or pirates. Sea conditions like this can last for days. The constant pounding, never-ending pitch and roll can only be described as living in airplane turbulence 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The largest container ships are the size of a skyscraper turned on its side, and one reason they're grown so large is that when you factor in all the costs of crew, fuel, and so on, the larger your ship, the more money you can make on each container. Now we see many ships in San Pedro Bay. Eventually that cargo will land. Then it'll make its way to the beaches. As more and more traffic flows through the largest ports, they become single points of failure in a previously more robust global supply chain. For example, the Port of Los Angeles and its neighboring Port of Long Beach account for 40% of our U.S. imports and nearly 30% of U.S. exports, demonstrating how important this gateway is to the American economy. These massive ship-to-shore cranes typically take 3 to 5 days to unload containers, but productivity is suffering greatly with all the problems going on right now. It can take up to 2 weeks to process a ship currently, which previously took 3 to 5 days. Once a container arrives at the dock, a mix of humans, robots, and software will pick it up and transport it to stacks of containers inside the port, where it will be sorted and resorted. The major strain on the system is trucking. The long-haul trucking industry has a lack of qualified drivers in the U.S. As a result, by 2028, America will be short 160,000 truckers. You're talking about an $800 billion a year industry. According to the Department of Transportation, the trucking industry moves 70% of the freight in the U.S. In terms of value, without it, we'd be paralyzed. You wouldn't be able to find the items you're used to on store shelves, nor would you be able to have them delivered to your home. Amazon has already established itself as the primary carrier of its packages. It now boasts that it expects to beat UPS and FedEx at their own game. The anticipation is that it will be the world's largest package delivery carrier in the U.S. From 2019 to 2020, Amazon's delivery network grew at a rapid pace, increasing its share of U.S. parcel volume, making it larger than FedEx's last-mile delivery work, which had been fairly high quality. Well, that's all for today. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below, and until the next video, Stay tuned and subscribe to Curiosity Lounge for more great videos to satisfy your curiosity.